Hey, Carl here for Homemade Strength. Today I'm going to show you what I did to make a cheap-ass loading pin. Normally a loading pin would be made out of like a metal pipe and a floor flange, and then I don't know what people do to put the hook on the top. I haven't researched it much. I'm not making one of those. If you do want to make a traditional style pin like that, you will have to look it up online somewhere else. That's not what I'm showing you here. If you don't know what a loading pin is, it looks something similar to this cat scratching post. This would be a metal pipe. The bottom would be circular usually. The DIY option is a floor flange, which is something that just threads onto the bottom of the pipe like that. And then you stack your plates on the pipe like that, and they just stack up. And it has a hook at the top, so you can like hook in a Rolling Thunder gripper tool or a dip belt or something like that. That's what a loading pin is. My solution is going to be different. It's super cheap. All you need is a length of chain. This is 3 feet of chain. I suggest you get the regular. This is like the size of link that you would find on, say, a swing set, although this one's fairly thick, might be a little bit thicker. But in terms of size, I don't recommend the small ones. They have ones that are like half size. Even though they're rated for like 800 pounds, I just say go with the regular size swing set style size links of chain. That's what this is probably like rated for 1,300 pounds, something like that. All you need is about 3 feet of it. And then if you don't have a carabiner, then you will need a carabiner. Typically, the traditional has that spring clamp. You can get those on and off really fast. You can do that if you want. Those, make sure you get something rated, high enough for your purposes, because those are can be pretty low sometimes and only a few hundred pounds. This is the screw-on style. It's rated for like 1,700. It says right here 1,760 pounds. That's obviously overkill, and I usually don't even thread it for that reason, because it just takes longer. But just whatever you choose, just check your ratings, make sure it's good enough for you, and that's all you need. A carabiner if you don't have one, and 3 feet of chain. So the chain is going to act like the pipe would in the loading pin, and to do the bottom of it, instead of a floor flange, I'm just going to use this 2.5 pound plate that I have, because that's free, because I already have it. You just slide it on, and that's the basic idea. This will sit, more like that. And then we are going to just load our plates on like that. I understand this isn't as perfect as a loading pin. There are some issues with it, but this is the cheap, simple solution, and it works well enough for me. So, one of the potential problems is you can't just easily stack the plates on top, obviously, because the chain is not rigid. So you have to do it more like this. You put them both ends of the chain through. Try not to drop. And then it's just going to sit down like that. Now, the other problem is it doesn't balance well just on the head plate. So my solution to that, if you can see, hopefully that's in frame, I just put 2 25 pound plates, one on each side, and that will hold it perfectly level now. So that's pretty much not a problem if you do that. And then again, not quite as simple as loading up as a loading pin, so I admit that, but it's not a big deal for me because I didn't want to make a loading pin. But to be fair, an actual metal pipe and floor flange might cost you like 25 bucks, something like that, if you can engineer something sturdy to hook into at the top. But this is my solution. And the nice thing about the chain, I will say this, is that you can make it any length you want. So if you're only using 245s, you don't need, the full length. You just make it down there. And then clip your rolling thunder or your dip belt or whatever the hell you're using it for. Clip it right in there. And the other thing is it might be a little less stable than, a rigid pipe loading pin. But, that's just extra core stability work, right? That's a good thing. So, just as an example, I'm going to hook a dip belt in here, because that's what I got. And I will show you the basic idea behind it. You can see they stay more or less horizontal. What I've noticed is that the more weight you put on it, the more horizontal it will stay. It does tilt up a little bit, but move it around there. It's not too bad. Which would be the main point of a loading pin, I guess, to keep it horizontal rather than having the 45s oriented, like this, hanging from the dip belt. It's just easier to load up more. And I use this mostly for weighted dips, or scratch that, I use this mostly for weighted planks, rather, or prone bridges as some call them. Because I do those elevated, forearms on a bench, feet on another bench or plyo box or something, so that you have the room under you. Then of course this, I'm not sure if you can see all this, but this would, be on your back as you hold them up. So I think I just solved both problems. Again, put these plates down to keep it stable on the bottom. Oh, if you don't like the idea, I'm not going to unload this, but if you don't like the idea of the plate sitting like this, at the end of the chain and taking up space, you could do something smaller. It could be a washer. I'm sure this is not the most elegant way to act as the stopper, underneath. Just make sure whatever you get is not too small. Make sure it will not fit through the hole of your Olympic plates. Obviously, if it will, it might slip through there and all your plates will dump out. So whatever you get, just make sure it's strong enough to handle the load and big enough so that it won't fit through the hole. Like I said, as long as you put these two stabilizer plates on the bottom, that just makes it, pretty easy to work with, in my opinion. So that's not even a problem to me. And the cost of 3 feet of chain and a carabiner, if you don't already have one, you're definitely under $10, and it's easy and simple to do. And now I'm going to load up a couple more big plates, and I'm going to put the camera on the ground to show you that it basically stays fairly flat and stable as you lift it with a lot of weight. Alright, just to show you how it orients itself in the air when you lift it with a significant amount of weight on it. So not too bad there. Well, it's not sitting ramrod straight like a loading pin might, but it gets the job done, especially with these two plates on the bottom, or on each side. Just to ease your mind, plates aren't sliding all over the place or anything like that. It does sit fairly stable. And the more weight you put on it, it seems like the more that's true. So, DIY loading pin made out of a chain and a small 2.5 pound plate that you probably already have. That's my design. Maybe not the most elegant thing in the world, but it does get the job done. So hopefully that helps you out. Thanks for watching.